Hello friends, and welcome to today's video. In today's video I want to talk about something that I did yesterday. I said yesterday on the channel here. I made a video about the biggest mistake of your drumming career, and basically I encourage everybody to be proactive in the solution that I put forth, which was to be social, to interact with people, to better your personality, to become the best person you can be, and so that it benefits your career. Now, I've been reading all your great responses, and frankly, I'm very moved by some of the things that people have written, and I care a lot about people, especially drummers. Because when I grew up, I'm always acting like I'm so old, but not. When I grew up, there was this like kind of instant camaraderie between drummers, and there was this thing where you can kind of tell who was a drummer, by the way they walked, by the way they moved. There's something about the instrument that affected your body in these ways. It's kind of like dancers, they can recognize each other because of whatever, their great posture or whatever. And there was a camaraderie, like an instant kind of friendship that you experienced when you encountered another drummer. It's like this brotherhood, this community, unspoken community that everyone had. That's gone. That's gone now. And replaced by a coldness and competitiveness that I don't like at all, because that is nowheresville. It doesn't help anybody in their career to be like that. But anyway, so what I'm saying right now kind of has to do with the addendum, let's say, that I want to make to yesterday's video. And I know I encouraged everybody to be friendly and be social and all that stuff, but there is one factor to be taken into consideration, and it's a very big factor that I've seen, the results of this experiment in human psychology, human behavior, human endeavor, human outreach. There's a price to pay, especially for artists who tend to be, super sensitive people, way more in tune to their emotions and feelings and stuff like that. And there's a huge price to pay if you're not prepared for the consequences that can occur. What is it that I'm afraid of? Okay, I'm afraid of people not being prepared to deal with the massive disappointment that can come with dealing with human beings. Now, one thing is going out there and being social and being friendly and developing yourself, and that is really very, very important to your career. But another thing that you have to develop is a really thick skin and the ability to not let anybody affect you in a way that's going to hurt your drumming, okay? Hurt your body, hurt your mental state, because in the end, this is your instrument. Your body, your mental state is very much a part of your life as a musician. You have to develop a thick skin because people will let you down, man. They will totally let you down. They will betray you. They will talk about you behind your back. They will do things to derail your career. Okay? Jealousy, competitiveness, all that stuff is really a big part of what's going on. I think for the last 20 years, it's just gotten worse to me. In fact, many players that I talk to around the world, and top pros, mind you, are so sick of this drumming, this music culture that is, around these days. They miss the old days of like hanging till 5 in the morning and talking, and there were no phones, there was no, you had to hang. You would go together and see, after your gig, you would go hang out at a restaurant till 4, 5, 6 in the morning, go home at dawn, and that was the life of musicians. And then the next day, the same thing, hit 4 or 5 gigs a night, watch great players every night. Man, I did that for so many years. I saw everybody playing, it was amazing. And not only is it culturally amazing, it's just, it seeps into your playing, it seeps into your body to see those cats, to see great musicians live. It's just a whole other thing than seeing it on YouTube. I know a lot of people can't do that because they're in different countries to where the drum set was kind of developed in the United States. And YouTube is a great way to compensate it to some degree, but you need to be aware that it's not the same thing. Okay, so what happens then is we tend to be isolated in this environment that social media, let's say, puts us in. We get comfortable with not having to deal with the other side, with the human side, with the disappointment and the fear and all that kind of stuff. But if you isolate yourself too much, you run the risk of not being able to play with great people. Okay? Now, you may say to yourself, well, that's all easy for you to say, Phil. Why are you in Bali? Why aren't you in New York? Well, the big difference is I already did it. I've played with everyone I've wanted to play with, and those who I haven't played with, I just don't care. I don't care about Chick Corea. I don't care about Quincy Jones or whoever. I don't care. Maybe one guy I do care about is Chris Potter. I'd love to play with Chris Potter, But outside of him, I just don't care anymore about playing with those guys. Chick is no longer with us. And that's maybe something to think about. Just where you are in your position in life and your career has a lot to do with your situation globally. So if you want to develop your drumming, I think it's essential to play with people. You cannot do it just by watching YouTube or playing with play-alongs. Now, play-alongs are a huge part of the learning process because it allows you to experiment and allows you to stretch and do things that you wouldn't do in a public situation, Even in the times where you wanted to stretch out and do things that perhaps were very risky, it could hurt your reputation if you made a lot of mistakes on stage and stuff like that. Those types of things all affect the possibility of you getting called back for gigs, even if it's stuff at the Baked Potato in LA or whatever, some dark, dingy jazz club. It's a tricky fine line to walk. So you need to play with people, but you need to be aware that it's gonna suck. Maybe not everybody likes the way you play. They're not gonna call you back, or they call Johnny, Timmy, or whoever because they're friends from college. You'll see maybe new guys come up and take your spot in the club where you used to play weekly. You'll see new guys moving in from a different city or a different country come in and start to take all your gigs because whatever, they lowered their rate or they're willing to do more rehearsals, or they're willing to fly and stay at some dingy hotel, you know, on tour and not complain. You know, all those things, man, require a thick skin, and it require an ability to keep you unfazed. All right? You have to be unfazed because you have to bounce from those situations. You have to bounce back and like figure out the next move. It's a lot like in any other business, I guess. You have to figure out your next move and how to do it. If you're in a depression, or if you're seething with jealousy because so-and-so took your gig, or your best friend stabbed you in the back because he tried to get the gig from you, which has happened to me a few times, another story, but it's enough to make you want to quit being in music many times. It becomes a frustration that leads to many negative things like drugs or alcoholism, and you know, I've seen it happen to so many cats. This career is not easy, as you all know, and your drumming or your music or whatever, man, you're fighting for your life, you know. You're fighting for your inner life, for your inner peace. And to have someone that come and stomp all over it, it sucks. So you have to develop a thick skin and a deep awareness of how to control your emotions and your mind. I'm not saying that that's easy at all, but you have to develop an ability to control your emotions and your mind, control your thinking patterns and the way that you exist. The worst part of it all is, for me, is to see guys, you know, give up and lose control of their lives to drugs and alcohol, and that's a hard road back, man. I've seen it, like I said, many times, and I've seen some people recover, but they're never the same. You know, they're like damaged inside, and you know, that to me is a real bummer. A real bummer, because all those years you waste being depressed or being you know, taking drugs or alcohol, and you could have been on the kit learning. You could have been traveling. You could have been going to wherever, to South America, to learn about the music there, or you could have been going to Africa or wherever, enjoying your life and learning more about drumming. Drumming is like a thing where it never ends, and the amount of beauty that it can put into your life is astounding, you know. So I think a lot of our results can be influenced by our lack of ability to control emotions and our interpersonal skills. A very big factor in life, which, you know, I had to develop, to be honest, and to be 100% honest. It's something that I don't have to deal with on a huge level anymore, because it's something that inspired me to do my own projects. Now, when you're doing your own projects, life changes a lot. You know, you have to think like an entrepreneur. You have to think about, first of all, always getting funds. Getting funds, how you're going to finance this project, and how you're going to do this and that, and blah, blah, blah. You don't think about, is Sally or Marie going to call me to do her wedding gig? Which is fine if you're doing wedding gigs. Sometimes they pay a lot. They're not so common anymore, you know. So that's an issue. And frankly, I don't think you should be subject to the whims of other people. You have to have a certain amount of control of your career, and the way to do that is by doing your own projects. Now, I learned that a lot too by studying other art forms. Of course, as you know, I'm a professional photographer at this point for many years. And in photography, one of the things that brings work to photographers is personal projects. Because what happens is that people get a chance to see your vision, how you work, the quality of your editing, the quality of your eye, you know. What you bring to the table is all right there. So if they want a certain look, if they want a certain this or that, whatever they're looking for, then they have it all right there in front of you. It's the same in music. So personal projects, I think, is very liberating. And it's a way for you to deal with the constant and utter disappointment of dealing with people. That's the way it is. Nowadays, these days, the elections, US elections coming up, you know, you wouldn't believe how many friends I've lost because of politics, you know, elections and my viewpoints. As you know, many artists just don't care. They just keep their mouth shut, or I don't even know if they vote or not. But they just keep on going with their career, and that doesn't phase them one way or the other, who's president, who's not, and whatever. That's something to consider. Because when you start losing contacts, or you start losing friends, and you start losing, you know, it's not great for your drumming. In some ways, it can be a benefit if you have a thick skin and you're able to bounce back. See, that's why I keep saying that. Because maybe one door shuts, but you have to have a key to open another. And for me personally, that key was Asia, for example. That key was, of course, my own projects that helped me to this day make a living in music. Am I rich? By no means. Should I be more famous? I simply don't care. I've been on the cover of magazines. I've done tons and tons of clinics all over the world. You know, I've played with great people. Does it make me any better as a human being to have done all that? Maybe I can rest a little easier at night knowing that I've accomplished what I set out to do. But frankly, the thing that really benefits me the most is having developed this way to deal with the world. The way I deal with the world now helps my music, which is the most important thing in the world to me. Drumming and music. The happiness I get from my inner life comes through in music because of gratitude, let's say. Gratitude that I was able to find this space in me, that I can live anywhere I want, that I can be at peace and dedicate my life fully to music and drumming. That's, you know, to me, it's priceless. That is priceless. No amount of fame or money can replace that. And I've seen people with a lot of money and a lot of fame, and they're simply miserable. So anyway, of course, there's some that are not miserable, but it doesn't equate to peace, to be famous and to be rich. Okay? Anyway, I've gone on long enough. Develop a thick skin. Know that you will be disappointed, but don't let it affect your music and your state of mind. Okay, my friends, thank you so much. Again, the lesson site is waiting for you. I'm there all the time to help you with your drumming. 1-year membership, $200. I'm doing hand consultations. I'm doing, soon we're going to be doing a live streaming from the studio. And I hope that you guys will join us in those. Those are going to be great. Live streaming, question and answer type things, a lot of drumming, and it's going to be fantastic. Okay, the Elite program is still happening. 7 days, 3 hours a day, online with me, a 2-year membership on the lesson site. And you can spread out the days. You don't have to do it all in 7 days, 1 week at a time. So you have 7 weeks of 3 hours per week with me online. The Elite program is one of my favorite things to do because it really is intense, and I feel that it's the most effective way for you to get the most out of your drumming life. Okay, okay, my friends, thank you for watching. Thanks for listening to me. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Peace out.